So if you did try to run, or it probably makes you more likely to stand and just face the officer thinking you might get away with it because you're not doing it.
I can't replace
How many
what you
times does
lost.
the police come up on you
But give one of
and
these
you're
a
not doing
chance.
that and you got away with it? So I just want to ask you that. But that part of America is very real. That's the other thing. Around the same time, the rap music started getting really big, but also that music leaned towards criminal behavior, treating women bad, money, 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 you know, everything for you, bling, bling, all that, take it, it's yours. But there was no censorship of that. And you think that the music, well, they didn't censor our music, they don't censor nobody's music. Well, I just want to say at that same time period, the heavy metal, especially the thrash metal, bands like Megadeth and Metallica. Look at the Metallica album, Justice for All. It's about the New World Order, about how the shadow government takes us. Now, all the things about the government, the PMRC back then, which was a regulatory thing for music, they labeled their music. They didn't label anybody else's music, but it was allowed to go. And even when people spoke out about it, said this mentality is actually destructive. The music is great. The telling a story of urban life is great, but some of this is turned into look at how everybody's supposed to act. They see people on TV and they see people in the music industry acting a certain way. This also talks a lot of murder, a lot of gang violence, a lot of
How will you get inside your uncle's castle?
I grew up there, and I still remember every hidden path through those old walls. Even as a boy, old Shinra couldn't keep up with me.
Through fashion, through music, through social media, through the television, through what's likely because they go by. You go from that, then you look at how they flooded the streets with during the 80s with the crack. It hit the urban areas the hardest. The other more class-related areas of town, the partying was always with the powder. No, the crack hit the urban cities, and this also caused a lot of violence. It caused a lot of killing.
This is Papa Duck playing?
Man, I love this video. He's so correct. You see how he said crack cocaine hit the urban hoods, and in the suburban areas, they had powder. Now I'm finna prove to you how we know it's another entity that's right there. Because as long as you've been on the streets, have you ever seen a person turn a poppy plant?
These people are so stupid.
Okay. Pay close attention.
About that time, the Clinton administration, y'all think the Clintons were big liberals. The Clinton administration was trying to figure out a way of marking you as a criminal, as having a thug mentality. So probably starting around 91, I believe, they started to infiltrate the prison system, especially I believe in Cochran, California.
Why you have the camera so close to
they started making that popular. Matter of fact, I hate to tell you brothers this, but many of y'all have been infiltrated by the CIA and the FBI to promote a lot of things. The music, but anyway, the bust and the sag, the flat brim hat, the Nikes. Look how many people get murdered over Nikes. That's just a thing, but it's also a market. This would show a fashion that would lean towards a thug mentality. So they could actually march you in the street and see you. They wouldn't have to ask your ID. They could just say, hey, that guy's most likely, because they go by statistics, is most likely to be a thug. He thinks like that. He dresses like that. So apparently he is like that. That way they can come at you. And guess what? Where you're holding your riches, you can't really run. So part of that was to make it a little bit easier to capture. So if you did try to run, or it probably makes you more likely to stand and just face the officer thinking you might get away with it because you're not doing it. How many times does the police come up on you and you're not doing that and you got away with it? So that's why I asked you that. But that part of America is very real. That's the other thing. Around the same time, the rap music started getting really big, but also that music leaned towards criminal behavior, treating women bad, money, 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 you know, everything for you, bling, bling, all that, take it, it's yours. But there was no censorship of that. And you think that the music, well, they didn't censor our music, they don't censor nobody's music. Well, I just want to say at that same time period, the heavy metal, especially the thrash metal, bands like Megadeth and Metallica. Look at the Metallica album, Justice for All. It's about the New World Order, about how the shadow government takes us. Now, all the things about the government, the PMRC back then, which was a regulatory thing for music, they labeled their music. They didn't label anybody else's music, but it was allowed to go. And even when people spoke out about it, said this mentality is actually destructive. The music is great. The telling a story of urban life is great. Some of this is turned into look at how everybody started to act. They see people on TV and they see people in the music industry acting a certain way. It's also caused a lot of murder, a lot of gang violence, a lot of killing of each other.
Y'all see all of that, but you want to bring it back to him. Remember, y'all see y'all thrashing the people hotel rooms, y'all breaking up shit at the concert, bashing chairs and guitars and breaking up drums. Y'all don't see none of that.
They got you thinking that some of you fellas thinking that it's cool to go to prison, like you're gonna go get your mark and that's gonna show that you're tough. They give you all these things to die for. I die for my dogs. I die for my brother. I die for my gang. I die for my people. But they never tell you nothing to live for, brothers. Oh my God, I hope you can see the evil in you. They took away teaching you anything about real life, mothering of the woman, the being the sister, being the man in the house. And it's all to get something, money and hoes, having all the women you can have, doing this, that, and other. And look, they took the man out of you.
You just said you'd get rid of me as soon as you had a son of your own.
Flashback.
Jin, come here. Your friend is wrong.
Y'all must be trying to take the castle.
May take a lifetime, but I will walk it with you. Always.
So that's way more, see what I'm saying? After 90 times in like my six, that's how many more. What you want to say to the people? Now I don't care about it, labels, y'all. I get labeled and I don't care. What I am is a brother that knows the truth about your history. Let's just say since the 60s. I'm not going to go way back. See, that's another thing. They don't teach you nothing in school about the bad things in history. They don't teach you in school about how the original man, the original civilization, the kings of old. I mean, they never teach you that part. They take away the people that build nations, build black nations like they did to Gaddafi.
They won't be watching the pictures.
They keep you down this way by making you fight each other. Now that's the biggest point that I want to make to you right now. They have you doing their dirty work for you. So please research why they popularized us in this act. Please research why the rap music was allowed to stay violent towards women and criminal towards getting money for drug deals. Please research we are the largest prison system in the world and about 80% black. And down in the South, it's like 85 to 87% black. Get the inner city murder rates and how it applies to you.
This is facts. Man, we've been born and raised to hate and kill each other. I keep telling you, when a hunter take a blade and put blood on it, hide the blade in the snow, and then a wolf walk up, smell the blood, he start licking the blade, not knowing he just cut himself, but he's still licking, not knowing he's licking his own blood until he died. You cannot blame the wolf for trying to eat. You have to blame the hunter, the oppressor. I keep telling y'all, this is a setup. Ain't nobody that stupid or dumb to figure this out. It's a setup for the music, clothing, our fashion. They done took everything from us. Everything. They turned it around. Pay close attention.
Look how they also got white Americans fearing the thug mentality, but having you thinking that's your culture and that's your style and that's the way we're going to be. So they keep enemies just through fashion and music. Just through fashion and music. Which fashion?
Down. Back there. Back that way. Maybe it's a swing. No. The roll thing. That's how you do that.
Nothing after all. Forget it.
They cut a video off.
Music. Just through fashion and music, which actually should be things of beauty. Fashion is supposed to be showing yourself now. Music's supposed to calm and establish peace or be a release and expression of who you are and how you feel. That part of that music was amazing. Amazing. They allow the twist. They pay a lot of your brothers off. They pay a lot of your brothers off, and y'all know. And when other brothers stand up in the modern day, like Tupac, Shakur, they got shot down. And Michael Jackson even stood up. He killed himself in his bed, or he was demonized. See what I'm saying? Anybody that tries to tell you the truth, that's in that world you're living in, they get killed. And that's killed through violence. You didn't do this.
You're not supposed to. That's one of your people.
So please, take back your culture. Take back your lives.
That's your tribe. You don't see you got the same colors on things. You're supposed to sneak into the building. That's your daddy. The dude, your master dude.
Stick with what the people that are your brother. You try. People that want to coexist. People that want to live their way like me. Coexist with you, my brother.
Supposed to sneak.
I don't want to be killed for how I look, and I don't want you killed for how you look. That's how we coexist.
No raising the alarm, no being seen.
And by speaking to each other, now I'm speaking to you as an older male, not as a white man, not as a white son.
That's the dude, your mentor, the dude he was just having a flashback about. His castle.
Young brothers, go live. Go live your way. But you make sure you're living your way.
Y'all like, subscribe, comment, please share. I just want to drop that
Oh,
video
that
on
was
y'all, man. It was very informative. Rewind it, send it to your son, your brother, send it to your cousin, because there's a lot of information on here, and it's very eye-opening and really to the point. You know what I'm saying? Minus all the other crap. That was more to the point than one of the most videos I've ever seen. You know what I'm saying? So, with that being said, man, y'all be safe, take care of yourself, man, and understand, man, we got to come together. We don't, it ain't gonna change.
Well, speaking of fights, Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. You know, I didn't see this one coming.
Yeah.
Not Roy Jones. Because Roy Jones is a lighter guy. He got to light heavyweight. At like 165.
He's a what?
Mike Tyson was like, what, 220?
He's 165 only? He cannot fight Tyson.
And I don't think he knows this is for play.
Even though sometimes it's not about size. In real life, it's not about size.
No, 165.
Roy got his ass whooped by Antonio Tarver.
Right.
And Antonio Tarver got his ass whooped by Rocky. So, I mean, his last few fights, like I think Roy had a fight in Russia. I don't know, 5, 6, 8.
I have no idea.
Man,
Roy, I always looked at him as the middleman. I've always
he's a
looked at him.
great boxer.
Great boxer in his day. No, I mean, listen, in
That's
his
what it
prime,
was.
Roy would hit you with a 23-punch combination and like duck everything you're punch out. I mean, I used to watch tapes and just rewind the shit. It was amazing.
But you can look at it. Evander Holyfield wasn't that big a guy.
Holyfield was pretty big.
No, he wasn't a big. Like, he moved all the way. Remember, he moved all cruiserweight, like fighting his white quad weight. He came up to that weight.
Yeah. He gained muscle, yeah.
And when he first fought Tyson, we thought he was too light.
Yeah.
Now, Roy Jones is too light, but I don't think they're gonna really try to get him. It could in the real world, it can never be sanctioned because they're vastly different weight classes. But I guess everybody wants to see
Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
People really want to see Mike Tyson.
Well, I saw that training video.
Yeah. And I don't think Tyson.
He's the baddest 53-year-old man in the world.
Right. And I remember I interviewed Michael Franzese, the ex-mafia guy who was on Tyson's show, and they hung out a couple times, and he was talking to Tyson, and he was like, what is it about boxing? And Tyson told him, he's like, I just like watching things fight. He said, honestly, I'll watch 2 bucks fight all night, because I just like watching fights.
You know, I was with Mike Tyson the other night. We went to dinner, and we were talking about, his training. He looks great. He's in great shape. He's training for a fight. So I said, Mike, you're going to really do that MMA thing? And he was with 2 of his trainers, and they said, no, we don't want him doing that. But I said, Mike, do you enjoy that? He says to me, Michael, I love to watch two bugs fight. I'll watch them fight all night long. He said, I want to see everybody fight, and I want to watch it all night long.
Like Tyson, have you met Tyson? Oh, yeah. And that conversation, have you had conversations with Tyson?
And it's always a little, you ever stood outside and you could hear the energy in a telephone pole, the high wires? Mm-hmm. It feels like that. Like, it feels like something that happened.
I talked to Tyson one time. This was during my mixtape days, maybe 2004. I ran into him. He was walking to a soul food restaurant in Inglewood. I was in the parking lot. I saw, oh, it's Mike Tyson. Let me go give him my mixtape. So I walked up to Mike Tyson and I said, hi, Mike. You know, I do a DJ Lad. I just want to give this mixtape that I made. He goes, oh, okay, thank you. You make this mixtape? I said, yeah. So this is your mixtape? Yeah. You're the one who put it together? Yeah. This is your name on it? Yes, it is. So you're the one who did this mixtape. And this just kept going, on and on. And I'd have to answer every time because it's Mike Tyson. I don't want to piss the guy off. Get punched in the face.
All right.
So I'm
Everything's in
answering
order.
the same question
You
probably
can go.
about 13 times. And then he said, okay, thank you. And he went into the soul food restaurant.
But a really nice, like a real...
He was very nice. He was very nice. But I'm saying it was not a normal conversation that I've had with other human beings.
No, because when people beat people up for a living,
So you write about his name.
these conversations tend to be a little different.
Anyone picking this? I'm in here with my wife and my 5-year-old son. Please send me out.
Johnny, Stephen, Boise. We're in a bad spot. Came up here to try and help you with that.
I was raised in America. And if you don't ever know what's wrong with you, better stay in America.
Martin Luther King didn't get killed because of I had a dream. He had something else he was going to talk about, black empowerment, economic empowerment. So, you know, when I did the Forbes and I showed them $890 million receipt and they still didn't say billionaire, they don't want us to know that we can buy land. They don't want us to have the 100% ownership, but I have 100% ownership at Yeezy. And the reason why I say these things out loud in this way is so I won't be killed. I said it out loud already. But last year, I was killed by the press for having a difference. Not having a difference in opinion, for having an opinion. You know?
So what you think about Kanye West Sunday service?
Here you go. Listen, man. I think Kanye is one of the most misunderstood individuals on the planet, influential individuals on the planet, but also co-signed by his enemy individuals on the planet. So there are different factors there. Okay, we have to look at the passing of his mother, Kanye, and the post or after the passing of his mother, Kanye. The evolution, look at what that did to him. His mother was his best friend. She was there for everything. She did as much as she could to raise him. That man was broken when his mother passed away. Everyone who watched that saw him decline right after. He just kept doing crazy thing after crazy thing. Like, what the hell's wrong with Kanye? But as he evolved and as he continued to grow, again, the enemy always slides in when they see an opportunity to use somebody who was influential over the people. So he was taken to a psychiatrist. And when you go to a psychiatrist and they label you depressed and they label you all of these made-up, non-scientific labels, they can do virtually whatever they want to you. So with him, what they did with him was he was put on certain psychiatric drugs. And what those do to you, some of the common side effects or effects happen to be death, happen to be suicidal thoughts, homicidal tendencies. And so it manipulates the way you think. It changes your personality. Chemically, it physically alters your brain pattern. So therefore now drugs, all of these drugs. And by the way, these drugs, Iprexil, Wellbutrin, Adderall, Thorazine, you can name each and every one of those, are listed on the Drug Enforcement Agency's list as a Schedule II narcotic, meaning they are 1 or 2 chromosomes away from cocaine and methamphetamine. These are legal cocaine, legal meth, all of these different drugs. The same thing. Sugar, you know, the amount that they want you to take it's going to be worse. It's worse. The impact is going to be crazy. Legally, it's all relevant. Yeah. I mean, for real. So Kanye, although he's sincerely a good brother, on the inside, he's being used from what I have seen. Just from what I've seen, I don't know all the facts of exactly what's going on with him. With him to do a Sunday service, him to love Jesus and God, and him to want to inspire the people with creativity, I have no problem against that. That's a beautiful thing. You know, the way people believe is how they believe, but the brother's intention with what he's doing like that is a beautiful thing. You know, we just want him to do more for inspiring the community, to do things like, you know, buy up the community, buy black, you know, establish business. And he's doing somewhat like that. He's trying to talk about the industry. He's speaking the truth about that. You know, so he's doing some things that we should always look at and acknowledge. You know, we should do our best to settle on the best part of one another. You know what I'm saying? It's like me being here. Yeah, my brother's smoking and drinking. But who the hell would I be? Like you said, to look down on you as if I'm the holy one. Like, no, we all came up out of here. I can't get mad about it. We my people. We go among our people every day, smoking, drinking, playing, whatever. We with them. I gotta come among y'all. And you gotta come among us.
Quarters are on the top floor. Now's my chance to get up there.
All you scared to death Negroes. Hello, everybody. I'm John Smith.
And I'm Gail Abernathy McCann-Feinberger.
And I'm afraid I have some bad news. The Barton Bellas have gotten back together again. It seems that not even a quarantine could prevent them from harassing us with another musical performance.
John, you have a cold, dead heart. But that's right, the Bellas are back with a reimagined classic to support UNICEF, who are on the ground in 192 countries, doing whatever it takes to protect kids from the coronavirus pandemic. A portion of all proceeds from this song benefit UNICEF. So get online and download it now.
My old room. Wonder if I'll ever be welcome back. Leave the message where he can see it.
I'm just waiting to get here.
He's here! Guards! Uncle, forgive me for not facing you in person. The Khan's fleet has gathered at Port Izumi.
You want to fight his uncle?
His ships are loaded with poison that would devastate the Shogun's army. But when the next storm arrives, I plan to kill the Khan and sink his fleet. I ask that you join me. I hope we can meet again. If not as father and son, then as warriors who have walked different paths. Whatever you believe I've become, I will always be your family.
Take a look. Here's case staff.
America today ain't getting no money out no bitch, don't know how to break no bitch, don't know how to...
People are forced to sign contracts, so they're made to do something.
He's saying I can go third.
Brought to my attention.
Hey, app. Yes, it's a dating app for black singles, just like...
Oh shit, Deacon Jackson, what's up, bro? What's up, Deacon Jackson, bro? How you doing, bro?
Deacon Jackson, man.
You got a Deacon Jackson?
No, man.
Deacon Jackson.
Rob was a little upset when he came up to him. So
Rob said
Bob, what?
he said that
Subject, could her son...
Oh my God, it's Colonel Sanders. Colonel Sanders, oh my...
Hey, you bad boy. What was the thing that said, you know what, I want to leave? Because y'all were on a run of all runs at that time.
Yeah, at that time, you know, it was a beautiful...
And so she told you another man was your biological father.
Yes, Your Honor. And we're gonna go down...
Hello?
I'm trying to reach Dr. Petrie, please.
This is Dr. Petrie.
You know.
We're talking serious.
Good morning!
Yeah, with that little ass. Now, what kind of game did Pimp C used to... You gonna override that?
Hey, you can sit here. Stay here. I'm good. Your mom got me fucked up.
In September of 2016...
Pete, what did he have on?
You know, I've interviewed probably more people. I really don't.
He's short. Now, listen to this one. See, there was this king.
You're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but that never made sense to me because that's why they put covers on books in the first place.
So, I have sat.
Some months back, during one of his various I'm a Crazy Genius marketing campaign.
Call me. I'm my boyfriend.
What this is, because believe...
Oh, well done.
Okay, he on the...
I'm glad that you're gonna be on that no.
Now, you see how they twist that around, turn that around? I keep telling y'all. Physical shock is like it's the mental shock. And when they control you here, everything below comes with it. Pay close attention.
Hey, this is what Papa Doug, y'all already know, my nigga. Back on the beat, that nigga, y'all already motherfucking know what it is. Hey, flex, not bullshit.
Hey, what's happening? This is what Papa Doug. Listen, I'm about to run this video that's very, very, very important. And this video will remind me of a lot of, especially blacks, a lot of blacks, the situation we in. And I want to show y'all just how we've been tricked, fooled, bamboozled, the whole 9 yards. Now, all I ask is that you pay close attention. You might learn something. Check this out. Mr. Jones owned a cotton plantation and many slaves. One day he was talking to the owner of the plantation next to his, and Mr. Jones was lamenting the fact that times were tough. He was having to work his slaves harder than ever, and was having trouble with some of them being disobedient or trying to run away. The other plantation owner said he knew someone who could help.
Day one.
One day, Mr. Jones called his slaves together so a man named Mr. Smith could talk to them. Before beginning, Mr. Smith whispered to Mr. Jones, "Whatever I say, do not contradict me or interfere, and I promise you your slave troubles will end." "My name is Mr. Smith," he said to the slaves, "and this may be the happiest day of your lives. From today forward, you will no longer be slaves, but free men." Mr. Jones was so shocked he started to step forward, but Mr. Smith gestured for him to remain silent. He did, only because the other plantation owner had spoken so highly of Mr. Smith's skills. "You are no longer the property of Mr. Jones," Mr. Smith continued. "You are free. No more would you be forced to labor for the benefit of Mr. Jones. Now you can work for yourselves." Now the slaves were all murmuring and looking at each other. Many were smiling, many were looking puzzled. "In fact, you are now free to leave the plantation whenever you want," Mr. Smith said. "However, since we are surrounded by other plantations, if you leave, some other plantation owner will likely claim you as his own the moment you set foot on his property. So I urge you not to risk your newfound freedom by doing something so foolish. Instead, I suggest that you stay here, no longer as slaves, but as willing participants and part owners of this plantation. Yes, this is now your plantation." Mr. Jones bit his tongue to keep from objecting. For now, we might as well leave Mr. Jones in charge, said Mr. Smith, since he's the only one with any experience at running a plantation, which is quite a complicated thing to manage. But he will no longer be your master, but just another worker on the plantation. In fact, he will now be using his organizational and management skills to serve you. Now,
Now he's your manager. Not your master. That's why people love to go to work.
If we all cooperate and work together, we can all reap the benefits together. In honor of this happy occasion, I present you this new symbol of togetherness and cooperation, this flag, which shall be the emblem of the new free Jones plantation. He held up the new flag, but most of those listening were still too amazed to respond. And this shall be our motto, Mr. Smith announced. We work together as free men for our mutual benefit, pledging our allegiance to the Jones plantation, which stands for prosperity, liberty, and justice for all. To celebrate, everyone has the rest of the day off. Enjoy your freedom, do as you please, and be back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, so that we may begin work on this great and noble new endeavor as equal free men. Mighty Mr. Smith is serious. Former slaves of blood and shit. Former slaves of blood and shit. Former slaves of blood and shit.
Day 2.
We all want this plantation to do well, Mr. Smith said at the beginning of our next meeting, so we can all share in the benefits. We all know that it takes a lot of effort to make a cotton plantation work. Just because you're all free doesn't mean you can stop working. In fact, since you're now working for yourselves, I expect you to work even harder than ever before. But now with pride and joy, knowing that you're working for yourselves.
Will the fire not light?
No, my lord. The wood is too wet, and my hands
That's why y'all love going to work so much. Giving y'all a manager position. You somebody now.
Never been so cold.
Robots gonna be running shit.
Maybe better off somewhere warmer.
They ain't gonna need you
as
no
with you,
more.
my lord. For now, share the fire with me, and listen to the tale of this mountain. Long ago, fire fell from the sky and landed atop Mount Jogaku. A lone warrior braved the dangerous climb and found a giant rock covered in flames.
Walked off. What? I'm dropping all this shit. I'm out.
His sword to
Gonna
the
make me
fire.
away. I get snatched up by another plantation. I'm gonna leave
But
there.
left him
They told me I was
unharmed. He created a new fighting style he called the Way of the Flame. The warrior took pieces of the rock west with him to China. There he sought answers about its origin from learned monks and scholars. After months of travel and research, fire fell from the sky once more. He led the people to it and showed them it was nothing to fear. For he believed the way of the flame was a gift from the heavens, and he shared its secrets with all who wished to learn. Handed down through generations, the way of the flame has returned to Tsushima. The Mongols wield it against our people. But rumor says the fire still burns atop Mount Jogaku, waiting for any who can survive the climb.
Day 3.
The next morning, Mr. Smith had a grim expression.
So you wish to know if the tale is true?
I have an unpleasant
Not
duty
I,
to
my
do
lord.
today, he said.
I told the story to a Ronin not long ago, and he began the climb. Though I fear the cold will take him.
That is stealing.
I'll find what
For
secret
that,
the
Charles
mountain
must be
hides.
punished. Two men tied Charles to the whipping post. I take no joy in this, Mr. Smith continued. But you must understand, if we do not maintain order, and we do not have rules that we all abide by, then the plantation will fail, and we will all suffer. Now, here's what you have a case of. Animals. When I say animals, I keep telling y'all, you have to
But you
be
free,
seduced.
and this is your land.
To be controlled.
You working for yourself, but you still you should be working for yourself.
What's up?
Trying to do your job at Dodgers with all this food that you can't eat none of it. What? want me to fry all this chicken and be around all this chicken, but I can't eat none without paying for it? Else that's stealing? Get the fuck out of here. Fuck y'all.
For a specific outcome that is designed so that you stay slave and master stay the master. Pay attention.
The web practice Charles back. But if we all pitch in for the common good, then we can all prosper. Being free doesn't mean you should be selfish and greedy. We must each do our assigned duties and obey the rules, and then we can all benefit, and each of you will receive your appropriate share of the profits. The young man named Samuel stepped forward. But if you and Mr. Jones decide the rules and whip us if we disobey, how is that any different from what we had before? How can you say that? Mr. Smith asked. I'm shocked. You were a slave before, and now you're free. Things still need to be managed and organized by those best qualified to do so. Do you know how to run a plantation, Samuel? Well, no, he answered. But if we're free, why do we get no say in what the rules are and how things work? I'm surprised at your ingratitude. None of you know how a plantation is run, so you're in no position to be making decisions about how things are done here. You don't seem to appreciate all the things that Mr. Jones provides for you, from protecting you from all the outside threats that you know nothing about, those who would come here, capture and enslave you, if not for Mr. Jones' protection, to making sure that you all have food and housing, tools to work with, that you're cared for when sick and injured, and so on. There wouldn't be a plantation at all, no cotton to pick, no land to plant and harvest, if not for him. You should be grateful that he's made possible the level of comfort you now have. Your lives would be far worse if not for him. Nevertheless, as free and equal participants in this endeavor, from now on at each meeting, any worker may have 2 minutes to ask questions or voice suggestions or complaints. With that, the workers all seem satisfied.
Hope y'all enjoying this video as much as I am. Now, with that being said,
alright, we just had you a nice when you get some land, you gotta be filled up.
they stick with black sheriff, black mayor, and even a black judge. It still is ran by the same people at the top. This is exactly what they're doing today. Now, you see how they so-called gave them a voice or made them think that they had some cold. Say so of what was going on. Pay close attention.
Headed down again to the fields to pick the cotton.
Day 4.
I have a big announcement, Mr. Smith said as the daily meeting began. Mr. Jones' cousin is here, and not just to visit and see how our project is coming along. It has been decided that from now on, you will be deciding who will manage the plantation. Of course, this job can't be done by just anyone, but every 3 months we will have a special meeting at which all the workers will vote on whether we think Mr. Jones should run the plantation or whether we think his cousin, Mr. Johnson, should run the plantation. That means that ultimately you are in charge because you will be deciding which man you want running things on your behalf. If you don't like the way things are being managed, you now have the power to change it. Amazed and pleased, the workers headed out again to the fields to pick the cotton.
Need a fire soon.
Days passed, months passed, a year passed, and the plantation continued to operate as before. Sometimes Mr. Jones was in charge, sometimes Mr. Johnson was in charge, but the day-to-day routine stayed exactly the same.
I don't matter whether it was him or his cousin, it don't matter who they got coming up running this plantation. The rules still apply between the workers and the owners. Pay close attention.
The workers worked hard, long hours every day, and still had little to show for it. Every day the meeting would begin with them all reciting the Jones plantation motto. We worked together as free men for our mutual benefit, pledging our allegiance to the Jones plantation, stands for prosperity, liberty, and justice. One day, Mr. Smith announced, Samuel has asked to say a few words this morning, and whatever the rest of us may think of his ideas and opinions, we are all free here, and that means we are all allowed to speak our minds. So, Samuel, you have 2 minutes. Begin. Samuel stepped forward, looking scared. I was excited when all this started, he began, glancing nervously at Mr. Smith and Mr. Jones. But don't you all see what's happened here? Nothing has changed. We're all still slaves.
Soon.
There were grumbles of disagreement from the crowd. They
tell us what to do and whip us if we don't. They still make all the rules and punish us if we disobey.
Rest by the fire,
They
Mother.
let us make suggestions and complain about things, but they never really change anything.
Thank you.
They let us choose between Mr. Jones and Mr. Johnson, but what's the difference?
My
Situation stays the same.
It's an
We do all of
unforgiving
the work
mountain.
and they take as much as they want
What were you
and
hoping to
decide how
find at
much
the
they'll
top?
let us keep.
Answers.
They live in luxury, made rich by the cotton we pick.
Anything.
We do all the work and
flaming
have to
sword
build
would
our
be
own huts,
useful in
grow
a
our
place
own
like
food,
this.
and take care of ourselves.
So it would.
They
I'm
leave
sure
us
you'll
just enough
pass the
that we don't
mountain.
revolt or run away.
Good luck,
This
my
is
boy.
not freedom. We're all still slaves. They've only changed the words they use, but nothing else has changed. They say we're all free and equal, but we're not. They command and we obey. That's not freedom. That's not equality. They say we're free to leave, but all that means is that we're free to be someone else's slave.
Somebody speaking out.
Why should we
What
work
should
our
they gonna
way
do
the
to him?
rules? We didn't agree to this. They made the system. They forced it on us. They control and rob us and call it freedom. They've deceived you into thinking that being able to choose which slave master you'll work for is the same as being free. It's not. Open your eyes. If you keep what you produce, they call it stealing. When they take what you produce, they call it sharing and fair distribution. Can't you see that this is all your time is up, Samuel? Mr. Smith announced calmly. At his gesture, two supervisors grabbed Samuel by the arms and led him to the whipping post. I'm sorry, Samuel, but you've broken the rules. There are rules against encouraging others not to work and encouraging others to break the rules. You're only hurting all of us with your discontentment and your complaining and your disobedience. The whip fell and Samuel let out a grunt. Without rules, without order, all would be lost. Without law, there would be chaos. We can't just behave as wild animals, each doing whatever he pleases. We must all follow the plan and all do our duty for the betterment of everyone.
Because he
And those
spoke
who do
out.
not must be punished.
The same
All
thing.
of those people that's working, that one person that stood up to knew better, along with everybody else that knows better, when he stood up, and he spoke out, nobody supported him. This is what divide and conquer does. Pay close attention. The whip fell again and blood flowed freely from Samuel's back. Samuel, it is you who are stealing from the others. When you don't do your assigned work, you are making more work for others. When you disobey the rules, it is you who are endangering the future of everyone else here. You are the thief. You are the criminal. You are the one trying to destroy the arrangement that keeps us all safe and prosperous. At every lash of the whip, the other workers cheered louder and louder, some yelling curses at Samuel. Being spoiled and selfish, you complain about everything, talking as if you're oppressed. But you are the one ruining things. You are the one keeping us from being all we could be. It is your greed and your rebelliousness that is hurting all of us. They all play by the rules, Mr. Smith said, gesturing at the others. What makes you think that you don't have to? You think you're above the law? Loud yells of agreement as the whip fell again. We must maintain order, Mr. Smith proclaimed. To make this plantation great, to make it so that we can all be happy and prosperous, to have the society we want, there have to be rules. We all have to contribute our fair share to this great endeavor, and we cannot tolerate actions and attitudes that seek to undermine the amazing things that together as free men we have achieved and will continue to achieve. Mr. Jones was smiling as he gave Mr. Smith a pat on the back. The crowd was cheering so loudly that none of them had noticed that Samuel died.
When I was here whoop. Remember that spoke out and they took him to the post and whooped him. And they said the crowd was cheering so loud that they didn't even notice that he died from getting beat to death.
And a lot of y'all are so under this spell to y'all participate and don't even know it. If you haven't learned anything from this video, I suggest that you rewind it. I suggest that you show this to your children, your husband, your wife, your sister, your brother, your neighbor. Hell, show it to your dog. But this is what's going on today. Do not be fooled. How can you let a person that look like you, not totally look like you, but another human being that bleeds like you, put their clothes on the same way, outsmart you? People, we gotta wake up. This is what divide and conquer does. This is what a systematic oppression system does. When there's a system put in place to oppress you, and
following the rules that is designed for a specific outcome,
Need to warm up.
you gotta change it. Hopefully, man, y'all learn something from this video, man. Please like, share, comment, do what you do. Y'all already know what time it is. This is what Papa does. Shouts out to everybody on the podcast.
Another campfire.
That's every Wednesday at 8:30. Also, all those who signed up for the new YouTube channel where you can upload your videos. Just send your videos to popupodcast@gmail.com. Go subscribe to the new channel, the Pop It Up Podcast YouTube channel. Send me your videos, I will upload. As long as they're at least 3 minutes long, no cursing, and they can't be as long as 10 minutes because they won't let me upload it. But anyway, hope y'all having a blessed day, and I hope y'all learned something from this video. I'm out. Hey, this is what Papa does. You already know my
Different climb the roof.
Back on the beat. Now y'all already know what's going on. Hey, flex. Stop bullshit.
So cold. Need to warm up. So cold. Need to warm up. Getting colder. So cold. Need to warm up. Need a fire soon. That campfire is my only hope. I can stop shivering for a while. So cold. Need to warm up. Need a fire soon. Getting colder. Need to warm up. Need a fire soon. Someone built a dojo here.
Welcome, my lord. Call me Betomaru.
Jin Sakai. I wasn't expecting to find anyone up here.
I've wondered if any would make the climb. You seek the way of the flame.
Invaders from the west with flaming swords threatened Tsushima.
They brought back the gift offered to them by my ancestor.
Teach me, Betomaru. A samurai will show the Mongols the true power of your way.
Take a piece of the rock, and we will face each other in combat. Only then will you learn the way of the flame.
Now to duel Betomaru and learn his technique.
The way of the flame is unforgiving.
Now, strike your sword against your piece of the rock. Once more, let the way of the flame guide you. Our fight ends here, my lord.
Good. The way of the flame is not meant for friendly rivals. I will wield it well against the enemies of Tsushima.
You have learned the way of the flame. Never forget it is a gift that fell from the heavens, Lord Sakai.
anything, my lord. If you can bring more, it's yours.
I'll see you again.
Thank you for all you are doing, my lord.
The great bow is a work of art, my lord. Permit me to refine your armor, my lord.
Greetings, Lord Sun.